Okay, movie maniacs. So, for Femtertainment Friday, today I want to talk about a movie called MASAAN. MASAAN is a Hindi movie that translates exactly to the word crematorium, or some of you, if you don't know what a crematorium is, it's the place where dead bodies are burned and the last rituals and rites are taken care of according to the Hindu tradition. This movie was released in 2015 and it's directed by Neeraj Kaiwan. Okay, and what was really surprising and shocking to me was that I never heard of this movie from any of my friends and family. No one ever mentioned this movie. No one, talked about it or shared something from it. And this is like, a Ferrari in your garage and you don't know that it exists. For Indians, if they don't know what this movie, then for them it's like that. It's like having a jewel or something extremely precious and useful in your industry, in your cinema industry, and you don't know about it. So this is a shame if you don't know about it. Okay, how I came to know about it is through an interview of Varun Grover. So Varun Grover is one of the story writers of this movie, and this is his story. And I find the guy extremely intelligent and charming because of his stand-up comedy and the arguments basically that he makes up in his stand-up comedy. And whenever you uh, whenever you listen to him, you want to pause everything else and you want to pay attention, because what he says makes so much sense, it makes so much meaning, and it's exactly the words that you may think somewhere in your mind but you cannot somehow put together. His words are so poignant and so beautiful that you just have to listen to him. Okay, so I heard in one of the interviews that he was talking about that he did this movie called MASAAN. Now, Varun Grover is from the same city as me. I come from Lucknow. It's a small city. It's a capital city in India. It's smaller compared to Mumbai or Delhi, but still a capital city. So, it's the capital of UP. Varun has the same kind of cultural background, I would say at least half of it. So he has a similar kind of values, and what he says makes a lot more sense to someone who's lived in a small town in India because of those particular things. It just makes him so much more relatable. So when I heard that he's done a movie and the movie is called MASAAN, I instantly wanted to watch it because I'm a total fan of Varun Grover's, and I thought, okay, if this guy has done something, it has got to be awesome. Okay, there's no bar below that. It has got to be great. So I thought, okay, let's just watch the movie. And lucky for me, that before I watched the movie, I didn't read the description, I didn't see the trailer, I didn't, Google any information about it, because I wanted the story to be as surprising and shocking as possible. Because I think if I would have done all that, if I would have found what the story is all about, then maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But I completely left it to my surprise, and this is why in this movie chat I'm not going to tell you the exact story or what happens, how it happens, but I'm going to give you kind of a brief outline, and I'll tell you about the reasons I loved it and how the directors and the writers have dealt with some of the most critical issues of Indian society in this movie in a very subtle way. Okay, so the movie starts with the character of Richa Chadda, that is called Devi. She is the daughter of a Hindu priest. The priest is actually one of those people who sit by the river, who, they when they burn and dump ashes of dead bodies into the river. So everything revolves around the crematorium. The MASAAN is a crematorium, and the lives of these people revolve around it. Okay, so she is his daughter, and she is watching, I think, porn or something on the internet, and she's seen going to a hotel room in secret. She goes to a hotel room, she finds a guy over there. While she's going there, she changes her dresses in some public bathroom, and she dresses more like a housewife or a woman with the, sari and bidi and everything. And then she goes to this hotel room, and then a guy follows. The guy is her colleague, or somewhere in the coaching institute. I think they study together or something. They chat for a bit. He gives her a gift, and then they make love. And while they are in the middle of making love, the police bursts in, and they are harassing the couple. They are saying, we know you're not married, we know you're students, and all this. They are making videos. She's barely clothed, she's still inside the bed, and the police is making video of her. They are harassing, we'll call your parents, and we'll do this and that, and all this is going on. And while this is going on, the poor guy, he steps inside the toilet and not knowing what to do while the police is still harassing him. Okay, so this is how the story starts. And the other story you will see is another guy whose father and brothers and everyone, they are the guys who literally break the bones of dead bodies and burn them to the ashes if something is not burning. They are the people who actually burn the dead bodies. Okay, so this is the guy who's trying to get away from this profession, who's trying to study, and apparently in Hindus this is a lower caste of people, which means these people are in society, they are below other Brahmins and other castes who do other professions. So they are like untouchables, the thing that Mahatma Gandhi abolished years ago. But in India, the caste system is very much prevalent still. Okay, so this guy belongs to this caste and this family who burns dead bodies, and he is seen falling in love with a girl who belongs to an upper caste. The girl's name is Shalu. That's what my name used to be, so this was kind of really awkward and really horrible, because I hate my name being this when my parents call me. And you know how awful it was every time when the mobiles weren't invented yet, and my friends would call me at my home landline, and someone would say, my mom would pick up and someone would say, yes, auntie, can I speak to her? And my mom would put the phone on the side and say, Shalu, you have a phone call. Oh my god, the moment I would pick up the phone and they would start, oh Shalu, this is your name. God, that was embarrassing. Okay, coming back from the past. So this is a story between them. Okay, and how things play out is, if I tell you a lot more about the story, then I will be giving you spoilers, and I want you to enjoy the movie at its best possible. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens in the story, apart from the fact that these are two different castes and how things happen. The girl still doesn't know that he belongs to this caste, and he's trying to hide how things play out. Okay, but in this movie chat, I want to talk to you about the issues in MASAAN and how they dealt with it in the most brilliant way possible. Okay, so the first one is about police harassment of young couples. In the movie, as you see that these two are making love in the beginning, and to be able to express their physical love for each other, they have to change their clothes, lie to their families, lie to their parents, and take a hotel room somewhere, change their clothes, go to a hotel room with fake names and identities. And even inside the hotel room, they do not have the liberty to express their physical love for each other or have sex with each other in whatever way possible. So this is something, if you live in the West and if you are used to the Western life and there's public display of affection everywhere, you see couples hugging in the elevators, you see couples, romancing each other on the streets. This is something which is such a huge contrast, because in the Indian society and the small towns especially, don't think I'm talking about Mumbai and Delhi and Goa, because obviously these are metropolitan cities, there are a lot more foreigners, and you would hope that things are a lot better, but they actually are worse, and we'll talk about that later. But in this kind of city, in Banaras, this is a small city of Banaras, and here you see that because everyone is interlinked with each other, people get to know about her, and having sex before marriage is such a huge deal that people rather kill themselves than have their name gone out as someone who's had sex before marriage. So, I mean, you can see how huge of a deal it's something that is so trivial in the Western world is such a huge deal for people in the small town in India. And the awful part is that despite this being such a huge deal, you cannot stop young people from falling in love. You cannot stop young people from making love and having sex with each other. And most importantly, you cannot fucking stop young people from going through puberty. That is biological. The changes that happen in our bodies when we are going through puberty, the curiosity of young boys and girls knowing what sex is like, what the other gender is like, what a relationship with the opposite gender is like. These are the basic curiosities of human nature. I don't think that at any point of the human civilization, since the day one, that we were not even humans, we were that amoeba, and I don't know what kind of algae fungi we were when human life was for bacteria. When life was first formed on the planet, one of two things are that those bacteria did. First, eat. Second, multiply, means have sex. Okay, so these are the two most common urges of any living thing on earth, whether it's an animal, whether human or bird or whatever. And in our society, you don't have morals around food. You can go around and have, well, some people still do, but it's ridiculous, completely ridiculous. But having all these morals around sexuality and giving them a lot more preference than actual human lives is something I find really stupid. That you don't think that educating your children about sex and telling them what's safe, what's not, and putting so much pressure under them that they have to put themselves in danger in order to express their love to someone is absolutely ridiculous. The last time I was in India, my friend and I, we were visiting this place called Marine Drive. It's a place in Gomti Nagar. She said, let's go for a long drive, and it's a nicely built area. I'm pretty sure you haven't seen it before, so let's take around. I was curious too, so I thought, yeah, sure. In Lucknow, that's a big deal to have new places to hang out because it's a small town. So we went over there, and we were walking by the large lanes laid with marble, and as the evening approached, you could see shadows of couples lurking in the background by the river, and you could see some of them just holding hands and sitting. You could see some of them kissing. You could see some of them just hugging or cuddling and having a nice time together. So looking at these couples, I thought, And that was a completely dark area. The only lights around there were the traffic lights that you could see from the faraway road, and you could see the shadows under the lamps. And I thought, my goodness, how dangerous it is for these people to hang out around here, because there's no CCTVs, no cameras, no police, no houses around here. Someone can just literally kill you, dump your body in the river, and no one would ever know who you are. Okay, that is how dangerous that area literally was. And people have to do this. Couples in India, in small cities, have to find these dangerous, dingy places to hang out with each other, because they can't hang out in their homes or in their schools, colleges, or in the city. They can't even hang out in the restaurants, because if they go to a restaurant and their uncle or their neighbor or someone saw them, then the first thing that'll happen, they'll make a phone call to their parents and they'll complain about it. And guess what's happened next? You're grounded, your funds are cut off, you are gotten married against your will to some idiot, and your life is over. So just to avoid that, and I mean, I just feel pity, I just feel awful. And I feel that one day, if I become a parent and I have a girl or a boy, I would never ever put so much pressure on them of being this moral and chaste woman or a man. And if they feel that they know what are the rules for having safe sex, they know how to carry themselves, they know how to respect the other person, why would I force them to go and hunt and hide in these dingy places just to express their love to each other, just to, just to feel like young, just to enjoy their youth, just to feel what it's like being young? This is just ridiculous. So the narrow-mindedness of Indian parents and people in small cities put couples in danger a lot. In the beginning, I thought that, okay, when I saw this, I thought, okay, so maybe this movie is about this young woman standing up to the policeman who's harassing her for money, blackmailing her that if you don't give me this much money, I'll tell the entire city about you and then you'll be in prison, blah blah blah. And then I thought, okay, maybe it's about this woman who's going to tell the world about what happened, get the policeman inside the bars, and maybe this is something along the lines of a movie that came out in the 90s called Kya Kehna with Preeti Zinta. And in that movie, she makes a strong point publicly about pregnancy. So this movie would be maybe this woman having a strong point about lovers having the freedom of doing what they want about sexuality and love. And maybe the society, will agree with her eventually, something like that. But nothing as such happened. She went along with it. She faced the humiliation and the blackmails from other men who knew about all this. And that was again kind of different to what I was expecting, and I enjoyed it because in real life, this movie is realistic. And in real life, that doesn't happen. Kya Kehna doesn't happen in real life. When you go to a middle class Indian society and you say that pregnancy is okay and having a baby without a husband and without getting married is okay, no Indian society agrees to that till date. And if you just go and publicly, no matter how emotional your story is, you go and tell them, instead of supporting you or understanding your point, they'll just say fuck off, and they'll be even mean to you. Okay, this is what Indian society, middle class society does. If you think that you can tell a story that can change their thoughts and change their moral standing over something like these issues, sexuality, abortions and pregnancy and things like that, it's damn hard, I'm telling you. When that movie came out, India's Daughter, the movie about the gang rape, that movie was supposed to open the eyes of people to what actually a rapist is and how he operates. And when my sister saw the movie, and I saw, okay, it not a movie, sorry, it was a documentary. I I expected that maybe now her eyes would be open towards feminism and towards these issues. And I asked her, so what did you think about it? And do you know what her response was? She said, yeah, the documentary was so scary. I am never letting my daughter out of the house again. And I just, that internet meme face palm where the palm is, gone across your face. That was my literal condition when I heard her words. Instead of realizing that rape is about power and dominance, not about sexual arousal, what she saw is that sending the girls out in the night is dangerous. So instead, why don't we just, ground all the women and the girls inside the homes? Why don't we just bury them alive so that no man ever gets aroused looking at them? This is what she thought, and I just wanted to kill myself at that moment. Why the fuck am I born in this family? That was kind of my reaction to it. So this is the reason why this woman, instead of standing up to the policeman and making a point about how great sexuality is, how they have the right to love each other and they have the right to make love with each other and all this, she is actually going in with the flow. She is getting beaten up by her dad. She is getting embarrassed, and without saying a word, she's putting up with all the bullshit to put the money together, and she's just waiting for one chance to go away from this city. About this going away thing, I'll continue something in the end a little bit later. The other thing the movie covered really, really well is about the small city love stories. Because the society is not that modern, because there are still a lot of, conservative things, the people, the customs and everything, there's giggles around. You have to lie to your parents a lot, and all those kind of cheap cheesy things that you would expect. Everything is there, so that makes the movie really realistic. And for someone who's not been to a small town or who doesn't know how things go on in small towns, this would be quite revealing. You would get to know the exact way how things work among teenagers of small towns. The next issue is about the upper caste and the lower castes. So in this movie, the love story between this young guy and the girl, as I mentioned, the guy is one of those people who burns dead bodies, and the girls belong to her upper caste, higher caste, wealthy family. In India, you would be shocked how big of an issue a caste is. And I'll tell you from my own example. So in my family, we are Khans, and Khans are supposed to be the descendants of, Genghis Khan or someone who came from Turk and all this. So we are Khans are supposed to be kind of fighting and brave people and whatever, hunters. My grandfather from my maternal side, they used to be the brave hunters, and the British gave them, I don't know what title my mom says, something about being brave. So they are really proud of their caste. Okay. And there are, obviously we are Muslims, so in Muslims also there are upper castes and the lower castes. The situation about caste in my family is so strong. My mom and dad are both Khans, so my mom never changed her surname. And in our family, if you mention a man or a woman from another caste, that's when you can imagine the relationship with your parents end right at that moment. Okay? So one of my cousins, a girl, she fell in love with a guy who was a lower caste, as they say. And she wanted to marry him, and he sent his folk to my uncle's home, and they wanted to ask for her hand and all this. When the cousin's mom came to know that these people are from that particular family, she took the tea cup out of the woman's hand and she said, "Please leave before her father comes home, or you people will be humiliated really bad." And imagine the kind, I don't know what to say, the kind of illiteracy and the kind of backwardness that makes you kick a human being out of your house because they have a different surname than yours and they are hoping that they could marry your daughter. I mean, this is beyond my anger could describe what I felt when I came to know about all this. And then she was forcefully married to some other guy who's supposed to be in a higher caste, in an upper caste. So this is how bad things are in my family. And if I think about me specifically now, I don't see people or men in general when I think about, if that's a potential match for me, if I want to marry this guy ever. Trust me, I have tried to judge men whether or not they would be a suitable partner for me, and never have I ever judged them on the basis of their surname. Never ever. For me, the most important thing, my priority, is that the guy should be respectful towards women. He should know how to act around them. He should know how to pay respect to his elders. He should, have love and care in his heart for people in general. This is what my priority is. But in my family, if you talk to my dad and you mention that there's this guy from such and such, the first thing he'll ask is what is his surname. And if his surname is not the same as our caste, the case closes right then and there. There's no argument. There's no but if the guy is this. You can say the guy is Prime Minister of US and he wouldn't give a damn. Just keep to yourself. We are not interested. That's how bad things are. And when this caste issue came up in the movie, I thought, okay, maybe, so this movie is maybe about this couple standing against the world and the society, and maybe someone will cheat on the other, maybe one of them get killed or trapped or kidnapped by the society people, something like this would happen. But what happens is totally unimaginable. You can never expect that to happen. This is something that happens, and again, I'll let you watch it. I wouldn't give you any spoilers about that. One of the other things in the movie is about the fragility and the triviality of human lives. So in the river in Banaras, where they actually dump dead bodies in the Ganges, you can see that there are a bunch of kids, 4, 5, 6-year-old kids. They throw coins in the river. People throw coins in the river, and they bet on the kids who's going to bring most of those coins up. Okay, and these kids, the ones that pick the coins from the riverbed, and the people bet on them, these kids are either orphans or kids of really, really poor people. And when you see this and you think, oh my god, how can you put the kids' lives in danger like that? You are sending them in a river. There is no way that they could never be harmed. It could be anything. But when you see them, you think kudos to the director for adding this and making the story realistic and showing a perspective of this triviality of human lives, that if you belong to a lower caste in India and you're not rich, you're poor, then your life doesn't mean much. Nothing means much. Anything can happen and no one can do anything about it. And the last thing that I want to talk about before I end today's episode is about victim blaming. Okay? And this victim blaming, maybe you can, raise voice against the society, you can raise voice against all kinds of people. But when this victim blaming attitude comes from your own people, from your own family, from the people who live around you, then it kind of becomes poison. And in every other Indian movie that I have seen a small town yet, you'll see, oh, small town is so nice and so cozy, and all these internet tight ties of people who are, all neighbors and all friends, and everyone's dancing together and everyone's having fun together. That's all bullshit. If that was so great, I would never have left my town. Okay, I think this episode is becoming more of my confessions rather than about the movie. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because this is why I left my small town. This is why I didn't want to live in that colony, because I just had gotten tired. I wasn't caught in the room with a guy or something like what happened in the movie, but I studied in a co-education school. I had guy friends, lots and lots of them, as much as I had girlfriends. And when they would visit my house, so my class was so tight knit, we were all such close friends, they would all come together, and people wouldn't see the girls, and they would only focus on the guys, and they would talk around hush hush, guys come to their home. So what? They're coming to my home. What the hell happened if your daughter's classmate came to your home for a cup of tea or for a homework or for something? My parents are around all the time. It's not like I'm hiding from them and I'm underage and I'm doing something. They are all friends. My parents know their homes. My parents are friends with their parents. They know exactly everything what's going on. Why should I feel embarrassed or ashamed of it? And as I grew up, this thing became worse and worse. So when people talk about all these sugar-coated nights, small town stuff, small town is like this, my small town is like that, it's a bullshit. Because if you really miss your small town that much, go and fucking live back there. Don't bring up all this nostalgia of your small town and talk about how great things were for you. Okay, if things were great for you, then go back and live there. But people who leave small towns and actually become a nameless, faceless person somewhere in a big city are those people who have actually gotten tired of this bullshit. Especially this victim blaming. This woman in the movie, the character of Devi, when she leaves this small town, her father is the only one behind. She has all the reasons to stay back and take care of her elderly father. But I am so glad and so thankful to the director of this movie and the story writer that they didn't show this typical Indian woman sacrificing her life and career to take care of her father and getting married to some guy in the end. No. They showed that she had to go to Allahabad, she had to go to another course or a degree, and she had to put her life together. She didn't stay in that small town mentality, and she got rid of that. And this is something that is absolutely relatable to anyone that comes from a small town. And I think the youth of small towns who would have seen this movie would get inspired to actually, just leave this small town mentality here and let's just go away somewhere else, because these people will never understand us. These people will never leave their small and narrow-minded ways. So let's just stop fighting over it and let's just go and live somewhere else. This is a reality. This is not a sugar-coated thing where one person comes out with a revolution and suddenly all the town is following you and cheering you up. No, that doesn't happen. Maybe in Bollywood commercial movies, but in real life that doesn't happen. And I'm so glad that the directors didn't show that happening, but showed the real thing, that they left the town in the end. This is what I did, this is what they did, and this is what happens. So apart from all the confessions and the things that I said, the movie is something that'll move you to the core, and I absolutely recommend watching it.